Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Fox, and today I wanted to bring you a brand new Hunter's Fury build. I was originally inspired to make this build by an old Eclipse Protocol hybrid build that I did using the grudge weapon that you see in front of you. What that build essentially does is allow you to do quite a large amount of damage for yourself, including status effect damage, but also to drastically buff the damage of everybody around you. And for those of you that have been with my channel for a while, you will know that that is kind of my favourite type of build, as ultimately playing a build that does loads of damage is fantastic, but if you can also help your teammates out at the same time without taking too much of a hit on your own personal damage, then that's only ever going to allow you all to complete whatever content you are trying to complete even faster. And this build is kind of in the same vein. Hunter's Fury is pretty easy to build. You can craft all of these pieces, and what I was originally looking at doing was seeing if the backpack and chest talent combined were actually worth running. And to be honest, they are. With this build, they kind of pair really well together, allow us to achieve basically the same damage as a dedicated Hunter's Fury build that focuses more on DPS, say Intimidate for example, but also help our teammates out as well. What I will do is link that original Eclipse Protocol build in the description. I highly recommend you watch that. It's a completely unique way of playing Eclipse. It's really good fun and actually quite deadly when played correctly. So let's have a look at the build. We'll go through the build in the usual fashion. I'll then load into a match-made Heroic Summit so that I can show you how this works with myself and with a random team. And please do let me know in the comments what you think to the build. If you are relatively new to this channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe as well, as it does help me out a huge amount. So this build is almost entirely centered around the grudge. What this weapon essentially does, and this can drop anywhere in game by the way, is allow us to buff our own and everybody else's critical hit chance and critical hit damage by 18% within that 20-meter radius. All we actually need to do is kill an enemy that is status affected. We'll be gaining that status effect from a few different ways, namely the grenade from Gunner, from Scorpio, and just from the backpack talent. What Hunter's Fury does is, for those of you that don't know, quite a lot of powerful bonuses. It gives us a large SMG and shotgun damage bonus. It gives us a lot of armor and health on kill, which is amazing for staying alive, particularly when paired with Gunner, as that gives us a further 10% armor on kill. But what we're focusing on here is the Apex Predator talent, as any enemy within 15 meters, which is perfect, so that plays well into Coyotes, will receive a debuff, which means we can apply 20% amplified damage to them, and that goes with any of our weapons. What it also does is disorient other enemies within a 5-meter radius when we kill one of those enemies. And then we can build up further stacks of Apex Predator up to 5 times, buffing our damage to a total of 45% amplified damage. Now the main weakness there is that the amplified damage only lasts for 10 seconds. If you don't get a kill within that window to an enemy within 15 meters, you lose all stacks other than the base 20%. And the disorient is only 5 meters. So what I wanted to do was really enhance what Hunter's Fury offers by basically using the chest and the backpack. What the chest does is give us the endless hunger talent, which increases the duration from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. And this is so much better than people give it credit for, because we can maintain that 45% amplified damage for very long periods of time, and we're not going to have a backpack talent to proc Intimidate for example. This is incredible, as you can just go from room to room maintaining that damage. Very first kill in the room you're going to absolutely melt, especially with all the additional damage bonuses that we are getting with this build, and it's a lot better than people give it credit for. The backpack talent actually increases the disorient radius. It doubles it from 5 meters to 10 meters. Again, this is really underrated. Nobody ever runs the backpack or chest from what I've seen, but that 10-meter radius means that not only are we subduing more enemies, which is better for ourselves and our team, but we have more opportunity to proc Perfect Vindictive with the grudge, thereby buffing everybody's damage by that additional 18% chance and damage. By also utilising Coyote's Mask, and don't forget we're going to be within 15 meters, so the very top part there, we're going to gain a further 25% critical hit damage to everybody in our team. So if we look at my own stats, for example, before we continue on with the build, you see I'm at 42% crit chance, which seems quite low for an SMG build, but because we're pretty much always going to have the Perfect Vindictive talent proc, that's an additional 18% crit chance, which of course takes us directly to the 60% cap. That's then going to add a further 18% on top of the crit damage, which is going to take that from 161% to 179%. And again, this is true for our teammates. So we're already at just under 180% crit damage. But then we also have the Coyote's Mask to go on top of that, which is going to take us to over 200% crit damage whilst being in that 60% chance cap because of Perfect Vindictive. Now that's a lot higher than I've ever been able to get out of any Hunter's Fury build. Usually with my perfect killer talent on the named Vector, the Dark Winter, I'm around about 150, and then if that procs it goes to about 200. I think 198 was what I managed to max mine out to. So this is already higher than that. We're already achieving more damage from this particular build just through Coyotes and Perfect Vindictive. But maybe more importantly, we're actually buffing our teammates' damage by the 25% plus 18% critical hit damage, which is a huge amount of additional damage. Great if people are running Capacitor, for example. And then on top of that, we're giving them 18% critical hit chance as well. It works really well. The final piece that I included on the build was just a standard Sokolov pair of gloves. Now, unfortunately, I originally tried this with the firm handshake, which, for those of you that don't know, does give you 15% status effects. I also tested this with Golan as I wanted to extend the duration of the Confuse, the Disorian that Hunter's Fury applies, but for some reason that is not buffed by any form of status effects, so you usually get about 3.5 seconds out of that, and I did test that with a large amount of status effects versus none, and it is exactly the same. I don't know if this is intended or not. I really hope that in the future they change that, because then an obvious swap out would be just to run the firm handshake here for that 15% status effects, but you know, here we are, we can't do that just at the moment. So all you need to do with this weapon is to basically use your mods to get the crit chance with, well, I'll say with the weapon. So you want to essentially change your mods on the weapon and all of your gear sets. Most of this is changed to crit hit damage, as you can see, because you don't need to be higher than that 42%, as you're going to be at 60% anyway, and if you're higher than that, as soon as you proc Perfect Vindictive, which is going to be basically all of the time, it's actually going to be wasted. You might as well maximise the damage you've got so you can put more into critical hit damage, and that's essentially how I've been able to achieve nearly 205% crit hit damage with basically no work at all, just getting one kill and then killing an enemy that is status affected. What I like to do is start each encounter by firing a single shot with the Scorpio and then swapping over to the Grudge to essentially finish the kill. That in turn will then apply a 10-meter radius of the Disorian. It will start building up my Apex Predator stacks, and you just go on from there. The skills that I like to use and have always used with Hunter's Fury are the shield, just for the extra survivability. You can see this is at tier 1 because I do always like to have the 1 blue on the build. We don't have any armor regen here, so we are very much relying on getting kills, and we do have the res hive as well in case we do go down, which, you know, a build that is within 15-meter range of enemies at all times always has that risk. Of course, by applying that 10-meter Disorian, it does stagger enemies quite frequently, which definitely keeps you alive way longer than it should, but there's always a risk that it can go wrong. So that's the build, pretty straightforward to put together. Just make sure you aim for that 42% and then everything else put into crit damage, all your weapon mods, you know, your gear mods, all of that stuff. Roll your gear to crit hit damage if you need to. Just don't go higher than that 42%, and it works really well. What I'm now going to do is load into that Heroic Summit, and I will show you exactly how this all plays out. Right, so I loaded straight into a heroic match-made mission in the end. Every summit lobby that I loaded into, for some reason all three of them have Pistolaire on, which doesn't help my build out at all. So it looks like we're right at the boss here, so let's see how we get on. I think one of these guys is running Eclipse. So this actually makes it easier for Vindictive, because I can just do that, and there you go, it's instantly procs. If you look at similar above all their heads, you see they've all got 18% additional crit chance, 18% additional crit damage, but of course they've also got the proc from there. Oh, look at the range of that. It's crazy, look at the range. Nice, Vindictive reprocs. So even though this guy's running Eclipse, you notice it's still me that's getting the kills. You can see that Vindictive sort of instantly refreshing. So what I like to do here is usually just start with Scorpio, swap out and then kill them like this, just to guarantee that I get it, but you don't need to if you've got some of the Eclipse in your party. And of course we still have the, there you go, that's another kill, so I'm now at the 5 stacks. There we go, they're all stunned. And all these guys are doing so much more damage at the moment. Oh, that guy couldn't even push forward because he just kept getting staggered. There you go, everybody's got their Vindictive. So yeah, probably not too much gameplay to show you there, which is a bit of a shame, but I just couldn't find a summit lobby that worked really well. But that's literally it. You can see the build does absolutely tons of damage. You don't need to worry about the lack of a dedicated damage talent or any kind of talent for your back and your chest, as you know, these two do pair really well together. And I'm sat at nearly 205% crit damage, max crit chance cap on this. It's insane, and you know, luckily I've got a really good roll, admittedly, but yeah, you know, it's not hard to put this build together because you don't need to worry about maxing out your chance, and that's what I like about it. So for those of you that struggle to hit crit chance because your watch is a bit low and you haven't got some well rolled pieces, this might be the best build for you, as all of this is craftable. You know, you can just use some Sokolov gloves anywhere on your build that isn't, of course, your chest or your back. And then I personally prefer the Coyote's Mask for, again, that additional damage buff to me and everybody else. And you know, 200 plus crit damage is insane. So plus the fact that you're staggering everybody all of the time, even without that Eclipse guy there, I was still the one getting all the kills because I kept refreshing Vindictive. I kept getting stacks up on my Hunter's Fury, doing the 45% multiplicative damage. It's awesome, it works really well. Let me know what you think in the comments, and until then, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.